Well, hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today for our first info session for the Vertical Impact Studio. So I'm Satish Rao, I'm New Lab's Chief Product Officer, and it's our department that runs what we call innovation studios, which are our partnerships with a variety of corporate and government partners across the world. Today, we're here to talk about the Vertical Impact Studio, which is our partnership around a program that we launched with vertical partners. And our goal here is to work with industries to identify innovation and technologies that can really transform the world of manufacturing and retail space. But before we start, I want to first turn it over to the key partner for us in launching this program, our friends from Colombia, Vertical Partners. So I'll turn over to Ana to give an introduction about them.
Hello, how are you? My name is Ana Moreno. I wanted to tell you a little bit about Vertical Partners. We started about 2 years ago. We are a leading LATAM investment group. We have more than 60 years of experience that has created an ecosystem of technological and disruptive companies. And we want to target different industries. For this time, we are very focused on retail. We do investment and smart capital, and we are part of Leonisa's business group. Later on, I will talk about Leonisa, which is vertically integrated with multi-industry skills and ventures. We have industry expertise to advance the future of manufacturing and retail. I also want to share with you some of the numbers that we have. We have done more than 33 investments. 25 of them are startups and 8 of them are joint ventures. We work in different verticals like fintech, mobility, logistics, artificial intelligence, retail tech, health tech. And we have 19 investments in Colombia, 11 in the US, 1 in Spain, 1 in Brazil, and 1 in Costa Rica.
Great, thank you. And Vertical Partners is definitely a key aspect to the work we're trying to do here for companies that are interested in participating in this program. In addition to the opportunities we have in front of us, which we'll talk about later, a partnership with New Lab Vertical Partners does provide potential access to investment and access to LATAM. And so this could be an interesting expansion opportunity for a variety of companies that we end up working with in the program. But first, we'll talk a bit about New Lab. And so we are in an integrated sort of operating model where we apply advanced technology and innovation to solve a variety of challenges that broadly speak to really improving the health of the people and the planet. And so what we show here is a depiction of the different departments we have, from innovation studios, which we'll talk about today, membership, which is our community of New Lab companies. We have an ability now to start new companies, and we also invest in companies that come through the walls of New Lab through our programs and so on. And we have a variety of verticals that we look at, as you can see here as well. Just to give you a sense of the scale and sort of the type of work we do at New Lab here in our headquarters here in Brooklyn, New York, we support over 200 plus companies, all working on some aspect of frontier tech, trying to translate advanced technology into the worlds of materials and retail, consumer-focused products, industrial spaces as well. And collectively, that valuation has grown to about 4.2 billion. What that really means is that we tend to work with companies that are about median valuation, and the building is about 20 million. It tends to kind of vary a bit as well between pre-seed to Series B. We have about 50 plus innovation engagements happening to date through our innovation studio programs between corporate and government partners, a variety of incredible acquisitions as well. And so there's been a lot of interesting activity in the New Lab community as we've grown. As a result, we've kind of walked out of our walls into working with a variety of partners in the outside world, and that's through our innovation studios. And so a great segue into this, the entire thesis around innovation studios is really bringing an element of applying entrepreneurship, advanced technologies, and our version of design against broad challenge areas that are brought forth to us from our corporate and civic partners. And so as an example, we work with partners such as Ford in areas of mobility. We work with the city of Detroit, the state of Michigan, city of New York, around a variety of mobility challenges. We work with Verizon on moving 5G edge opportunities into the world of manufacturing, transportation, and energy, and on and on and on. And we'll show some examples of that as well. This vertical impact studio is an example of what we're trying to do in the space of retail manufacturing. Our process is pretty unique, not as much in terms of the elements of what we do, but really in how we execute and the talent that we put around this. And so the idea that you're seeing here is that this program is not about teaching entrepreneurship. We're not here to sort of help in terms of the process of building your own company. There are other programs that do that. We here really focus on the product. And so we start with a process of kicking off and engaging the clients. If you look at kickoff and research, this is more client and industry focused. So we're spend time understanding the space we're trying to work in. We engage all the stakeholders involved on the corporate or government partner side to understand what they prioritize, what are the pain points. When you talk about an area like sustainability or efficiency, what do you really mean by that? What are the experts doing in this space? What are the trends in terms of technologies that are happening in the world that could be applied? About halfway through the program, we do a convening where we bring in startups, experts, and folks that represent the capabilities of the world that we want to pursue and put them in a room with the client and the stakeholders involved that are representing the problem owners. And together we ideate and figure out ways and lanes to pursue for the rest of the program. We're now moving into that part call, and now we will work. And so our ability to execute these pilots is really critically important as it relates to applying advanced technologies to these problem areas. We believe strongly in the aspect of validation. And so if you think to the future here, this is an opportunity not just to have a great pitch deck and a great story, but also some great data that shows really your product and technology in action. And we have witnessed time and again how those two things together can really drive evangelism and change within large organizations where a variety of startups are trying to get into. The model seems to be working quite well. I think at the beginning of 2019, when I started, at least the new lab, we were running about 1 or 2 programs. Now we're up to about 25 of these separate engagements. And these are really representing platforms and our ability to scale in certain industries. So for example, Ørsted, our first offshore wind partner, it's helped us launch what we call the Blue Energy Studio, which is really about bringing innovation to the infrastructure of energy transition, starting with offshore wind. Again, I mentioned Ford and Verizon. We work in a variety of verticals around transportation, and one of our original programs is actually and continues to be strongly in mining. And so, how do we create more sustainable approaches to extracting the metals and getting them into the products? So that brings us to the where create. In this aspect, we're really trying to leverage really strong and advanced manufacturing capabilities in our partner and pushing that into creating new solutions for the health space. So I'll turn back to Anna to talk about our first client in the program.
Okay, good. So I will tell you a little bit about Leonisa. Leonisa is a company that was founded more than 60 years ago. Leonisa is working with the Vertical Impact Studio to develop new textile products in the healthcare space. Leonisa is a global brand, is the #1 in Latin America, and has direct presence in the Americas, in Europe, and in Asia. Leonisa is vertically integrated and is well established in different brands, channels, and has different businesses as well. It's important to talk about the manufacturing capabilities. 90% of the supplies and 100% of Leonisa's products are utilizing their own state-of-the-art technology and the manufacturing capabilities that are based here in Colombia. It guarantees us quality and optimal speed to market for new products. So it's a brand that is very well established in different territories of the world.
Amazing. Now over to Mariela to talk about the areas of focus we're working on in the program. And Mariela, don't forget to introduce yourself.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. I'm the Director of Programs leading this innovation studio. Thank you so much for taking the time to hear a little bit more about the studio and the opportunity that you have. Here, I will just focus a little more. I know we have given enough introduction about the whole studio, but we're really looking for early stage or mature ventures that textile manufacturing operations that Leonisa is bringing to the table. We're very interested in companies with technologies in these two focus areas that you're seeing here on the screen. The first one is advanced functional yarns. We're looking for threads and fibers that enhance functionality for medical application. Ideally, these technologies will include advanced material science, such as passive indicators, functional coatings, and other nano-biotechnology-based surface treatments. For the second one, we're looking for sensing, smart sensing fabrics. Basically, our partner, Leonisa, is looking to explore smart textile sensors that are soft, be woven or knitted on industrial machines, and that also have a proven medical or wellness application. Some areas that our partner is interested in exploring, if you have a technology in those areas or testing it, is around monitoring and detecting body changes, activity, movement, compression levels, blood pressure, temperature, oxygen saturation, ECG, and other vital signs are of interest, among many other medical and wellness applications. Next slide, please. This is the studio timeline so that you get a sense of how this process works. This open call that we launched on June 15 will end on July 27. This info session is actually the first one that we're doing. We'll have a second one coming up, so that you get enough information about this opportunity. Then from August until September, we have the application review and selection process. We can talk a little bit more about that. And if you have any questions around that, we can expand now in the Q&A. The application review will start in August. We'll have calls with the top applicants. We'll have a very thorough selection process and finalist review. And the selection of the startup, it will happen around beginning of. We're really hoping that we start piloting, and we will be selecting 3 to 5 companies to pilot with Leonisa their technologies in these two focus areas that we mentioned. And the 5 are between the 2 focus areas. And the idea is that we pilot for a couple of months from September until January, with a demo day that usually is at the end of January, beginning of February. And next slide, please. And again, if you have any questions about this timeline that we just presented, be sure to put it in the Q&A, and we're happy to answer those questions. The benefits are very well, included here. Investment and exposure. You get to build a new product or a product that you already have tested and piloted, and you get to be a part of our community and space and part of new. Now to speak a little about these specifics.
Hey. Point to make here to start off at the top is that this is really trying to get your product in a scale mode with this client that we think has really the ability to scale products in the space widely. So if you have enabling technology, we have a client that can create fabrics, go from fiber to the store, right? Through their advanced manufacturing. Vertically integrated means they can pivot, and they've already got segments and scale to really put this to market. And so if that's the type of opportunity you're looking for, the fact that we focus on that in terms of the product and scale is critically important. And so these are the 3 ways that we do that in terms of how we enable that. So the idea of being able to capture investment capital. Once we validate the product, you might need investment capital to kind of expand that. Vertical Partners is highly interested in investing in the space. We will have invested in a variety of tech spaces as well, in addition to our network. And so there's an opportunity here to capture capital to help you scale once you see a validated approach in the focus areas that Mariela described. The ability to build and pilot, I think, is critically important, not just for Leonisa, but we've often found that startups, even just based on the piloting in the field that we've done here. And so even in a vacuum, I think these first 2 things can be quite important for a startup participating in this program, even if it doesn't necessarily result in some sort of direct business outcome with Leonisa. But the icing on the cake, of course, if it does something quite amazing. Being part of the program comes with it automatic access to New Lab in terms of our virtual community and our actual space in Brooklyn. And so anyone who's part of the program gets a 6-month, I believe, free membership to New Lab. And so access to our community of 200+ companies in the space. This gives you an ability to collaborate with them, as well as access to our on-site prototyping facilities. We actually have a few advanced textile companies in the space leveraging the prototyping abilities that we have here in Brooklyn. We are soon to be expanding into a new location in Detroit, Michigan as well. So that's another campus, so to speak, that members that participate in this program can have access to. So thank you for listening. There's some questions here I'll answer that have been popping into the Q&A, which is great. And so the first question is there an opportunity to develop partnerships within New Lab with other companies that may have complementary technology? Absolutely. That's one of the best parts of, I think, what we do, is being able to organically help that happen within the community and more directly and intentionally in the studio. Quite often we are looking at clicking complementary technologies together that make sense from a product and business perspective. And this program would be no different. So that's absolutely an opportunity. Another question that comes up quite often I see here is, do you have to travel to New York? The answer is no. It's a benefit. Being able to potentially leverage our assets for some of the initial piloting or prototyping, absolutely, that's an outcome. Pilots would occur in Colombia at the manufacturing sites of Leonisa. That's where their engineers are. That's where they can do their product runs. That's where their tensile stress testing systems are, and so on. And so I think this is absolutely an advantage to the fact that they're opening up their factories to the world to come and develop these new platforms on top of. Another great question we see is about IP. One of the great strengths of our program is that there's no asks here. There's no IP requirements. There's no IP restrictions. The IP stays with the startup. We focus entirely on validation. And so this part of the program won't be about developing something new. If that's an outcome that comes after the program, then that's between you and Leonisa. And in general, in our studios, that's how we go about it. So we're trying to create that opportunity. If one of the outcomes is a joint product development opportunity, great. That's between you and the partner. If it's something more about a direct procurement, awesome as well. These are the types of models that we pursue in the program. But this model is about validation and testing. And so by design, you kind of limit naturally the IP, the creation of IP. But if there is, it's all owned by the startup. There's also no equity ask. I'll just add there. There's no upfront equity ask as well. There's no fee. In fact, we have funding that we can provide to you, the startup, to cover some costs of the validation, which includes the travel and the time needed to go and develop up into a pilot in Colombia. So I think I'll end with this last question, but I think this is great from my perspective, or from our perspective. What does success look like for startups participating in the studio? I think it goes across so I kind of touched on this on the previous slide. I think ultimately, absolutely, we want to see product get integrated in Leonisa's platform, 100%. That'd be a massive win. If we can find enabling technology that enables a Leonisa to then create a new medical product that they can scale into the world, that helps a variety, that's creating a new business, that's improving health across a variety of, that's helping a certain population of people that are purchasing those products. For that would be like amazing. In the sort of direction of doing that type of work, I think there's a variety of side benefits, right? So start being able to just validate a technology with a client that's quite experienced in this space is invaluable. Being able to receive that data and take that and work further into the retail space would be kind of amazing. So we've seen that data to a startup could be quite great. And in that itself, that's also a win. If we're able to help the startup grow in any other way through investment, being part of the New Lab kind of community, that's also a win as well. And so, the direct goal, of course, a new product developed with Leonisa, but beyond that, I think there's a variety of benefits that can come out of our work to end up applying.
Anna, do you want to answer maybe that question of what is success for vertical partners on Leonisa?
Yeah, is that we can complete this project, being successful, actually being able to develop the products that we want to do, and in the future, opportunities as well. So at this time, we are just looking for the project to be completed, but there might be some investment opportunities that will be evaluated in the future.
Thank you, Anna. I know, Satish, do you want to answer that question? I think you just typed the answer, right? Do you want to answer it out loud? The military?
Yeah, I typed it.
Awesome. We have another question here about how much funding is being allocated for the startup teams that are selected. Satish, do you want to cover that as well?
Yeah, I mean, there's about $200,000 available for covering the companies we work with in the pilots, and this is meant to cover costs mostly. So again, it's not about the joint development yet. That this is a precursor to that. So I think Leonisa and all of us acknowledge that there might be some or business outcome that we're trying to create. One of many business outcomes we're trying to create in the studio.
Awesome, Satish. Then I have one question here about who will be reviewing my application, and the answer to that one is New Lab. Leonisa bringing the R&D and really the manufacturing and all the knowledge or all the technical knowledge and the product of what they're trying to achieve, and vertical partners from the investment side of things. We also have advisors that are very specialized in this sector that help us, really narrow down and select those startups that are gonna be aligned to what Leonisa and vertical partners are looking for. Awesome. So I think we answered all the questions. I don't know if there's any. There's one from Monica now. Is there a limit funding for a proposal?
I'm guessing that means, I think ongoing R&D or joint product development is one of the potential business outcomes of the studio. But the precursor to that is some level of validation. And so we try to be reasonable in terms of the ask. And so the fact that we have dollars meant to cover costs means there's no ask here to make something new for the purposes of validation. It's all about testing what you have today, and then what are we testing against? The idea of an additional research effort or an additional joint development effort or direct procurement. That's what the validation is meant to show, and then creating that business outcome down the road. So Leonisa is certainly ready. And so we acknowledge that there will have to be additional capital, which is available to fund further research and development or product development, but it starts with testing what we have today and what we're trying to do. I see another great question here about what if we have an idea and haven't launched a startup yet? That'd be great. We're open to that as well. We actually have a very rapidly growing venture studio department here at New Lab. Vertical Partners invests at the earliest of stages as well. And so if you're a founder, if you've got some technology and you think you've got something that's relevant to this space or really in general at New Lab, definitely feel free to reach out. We definitely have vehicles and mechanisms to grow new companies from scratch.
Great, Satish. And I think there's a last question there from Mira.
Yeah. So, expecting the teams to be placed in New York for the whole duration of the program? Definitely not. So the innovation studios are basically interact with the outside world, and they're incredibly global. And so our mining program, for example, our partners are in India and Australia, and 70% of the companies that apply in that program are outside the United States. And so we almost always work with companies all around the world. Coming to New York is just a benefit. If it helps you to spend time here in New York and co-locate with us, use the prototyping facilities here, get a sense of the community in New York, great. That's not a problem. The only requirement will be eventually running pilots in Colombia at Leonisa's manufacturing sites. And that could range probably to a few weeks to a month of time. Of course, there's some work that leads up to that.
Awesome. And at one point also in the duration of the pilot, if you're selected, we'll also be traveling to Medellin to visit Leonisa's headquarters and test technologies there as well.
Absolutely. That should be the fun part.
Yeah, great. If you have any additional questions, I know this info session was short and sweet. It's the first one. I'm leaving my name there and our email. So if you have any additional questions or you want to schedule a one-on-one with us, we're open to that. We will be very happy to continue to explore how to partner and for you how to apply if it's a good fit or not. So we're very happy to have a call in the next couple of weeks before the application closes. So please email us and questions and in case you have more, if you want to share with your team or you want to share in your networks. I will pass it maybe to Ana to do some maybe final thoughts, and then Satir.
No, thank you very much for joining. I am based in Medellin, Colombia, so I look forward to have you here. I hope this is exciting and challenging and motivating for you. So thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Ana. And I think, to the world, the people listening today, I think, and the ones who will listen to the recording, I think, really got lucky finding incredible partners in Colombia. It's pretty amazing how forward thinking they are. And so I think this will be a great benefit and partnership for the startups that we end up working with the program. So certainly apply.
Yeah, and something important also to note is that in Medellin, we have a very strong textile industry. So I think starting point is Leonisa, but in the future, there might be some other opportunities as well, because that industry is very well developed in the country and specifically in the city.
And just to expand on that, Medellin is a capital in the whole of Latin America, which is a big market. And so we're very excited. Thank you for joining us. Please apply. And if you have any questions, reach out to us, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.